The main considerations for riding in the dark are: can I be seen and can I see? Can I be seen? Wearing reflective gear can very much help in the dark. I choose to wear a cycling jacket, one of the super duper reflective all over versions, because a lot of the motorcycle over jackets, or just normal jackets, only have partial elements of reflection on them. And if I'm riding in pitch black, and it is deep dark this morning, it's 6:22 in the morning, I'm off to work, I'd much rather be as visible as possible, rather than relying on car drivers to spot a few small reflective areas. So I buy a couple of sizes up. In fact, this is a man's size large jacket that I have on today to fit over my main motorcycle jacket and all the other layers I've got on underneath, because it's not especially warm today. I feel confident that the other vehicles can see me nice and easily without too much effort. Remember, the single rear light and a single headlight is very difficult for cars to see you, especially in their mirrors, because you can blend into the headlights behind, but also for oncoming traffic. It's good to be mindful of the fact that you are less visible in the dark. So when there's cars approaching from side roads, don't assume that they've seen you. Be prepared for the fact that they may not see you. Cover your horn, watch their wheels, as that's the first part of the car that will start to move. And be prepared to use the horn, or slow down, or change position, or both. It's also important to make sure that your bike is clean, your lights are clean, and that your lights are all working before you set off. So there's a motorcyclist on the far left of this roundabout. He has no reflective gear on whatsoever. All you can see is his tail lights and his number plate. To me, that's not enough for riding in the dark to stay safe. I would much rather be as visible as possible, and it's reflective that makes the difference, not necessarily the colour. So people say high vis at night time. Well, it doesn't make much difference, but the reflective material makes a massive difference. Notice the reflective material on this cyclist, for example. His yellow jacket just looks grey, but the reflective material is bright and reflecting all of the headlights. And that's how I want to look when I'm riding, so that people can't miss me. Only my jacket reflects on the whole of the jacket as opposed to just strips. It was an expensive purchase. I think it was about £100 for this jacket, and I only wear it when I go to work in the dark in the morning and come home in the evening. So it's not going to have a great deal of use, which means it should last a long time. It's also waterproof. So in my opinion, it's a worthy investment. It can be difficult to see the road surface in the dark enough in advance, so you have to be careful to be looking for road surface changes, and also to make sure that your headlights are aligned correctly so that you can see the road surface and you're not blinding other people. There's another motorcyclist ahead who has no reflective gear on. You can just see his tail lights and his number plate light, just with all this good gear that's available to us these days. And it doesn't have to be expensive. It could be similar to what the cyclist is wearing. Even just a cheap high-vis overvest that has the reflective stripes on them. Make yourselves visible, people. Imagine if your taillight gives up the ghost halfway through a ride and you don't know because you're riding the machine. It can be more difficult for you to see what's going on in your mirrors when it's dark. It's quite hard to work out sometimes with the sea of headlights that are behind you where everybody is and how fast they're going. And do try to make sure your mirrors are adjusted so that you don't get excessive glare from the vehicles behind. Some vehicles have particularly bright or poorly aligned headlights, and that can make it quite uncomfortable when you're just riding along, let alone trying to check your mirrors. And in terms of can I see, obviously in the dark we have less forward vision, so we're less able to forward plan. We can't see the road surface as easily. We can't see as far up the road because our headlights, or the headlights of the vehicles in front, only have a certain reach. So our forward planning is restricted to our view, and that's going to affect our speed, especially if we're riding in the countryside and riding bends. Remember, your speed is always limited by your view, and you should always be able to stop in the distance you can see to be clear on your side of the road. Also need to watch out for animals. If you're in the countryside, they're more likely to be out and about in the night time. I quite like riding in the dark. I don't mind riding in the dark. I don't find that it's extra hassle or, particularly stressful, but it does require additional concentration and forward planning. A little bit like riding in the rain, but in a different way. Your own perception of speed can be affected in the dark, but this is especially important when you're riding on roads that don't have street lamps. You might find that you're riding faster than you feel you're riding because you've lost your peripheral vision. I think a lot of our speed perception comes through that peripheral vision, and when it's very, very dark with no street lamps, you can't see how fast you're going. As you're approaching bends, make sure you're actually bringing your speed down according to what you can see, and you're checking you're not going too fast for the severity of the bend. Remember, the key to keeping yourself safe is your own anticipation and observation. So if you can't see, you need to bring your speed down. It's quite easy to be dazzled by other road users, so it's quite important that if you do begin to be dazzled, that you try and avert your eyes, look somewhere else. It's quite tempting to stare at the dazzling lights, whether they're in your mirrors or coming towards you. And it's certainly harder to see the hazards. There could be pedestrians around these cars that we can't see who aren't wearing anything that's reflective. So trying to be extra vigilant with spotting ordinary hazards that would be easy to spot in the daytime is quite important. Keep your eyes open, keep searching for hazards. Don't get lazy or complacent about an empty road ahead. That's my ride to work complete safely. So I hope you found that helpful. Stay safe out there in the dark. It is more hazardous, but you can keep yourself safe with a few simple techniques. See you soon.